Welcome back to the pack. We got another Alvo update for y'all for the Quest and for the PlayStation. We got a whole bunch of stuff to unbox here, from a new game mode, new map, a brand new skin, and a little bit of a theme. There's also a little bit more information related to rank-based matchmaking, but we'll all get into that. Stick around and let's talk. Alright everybody, as per usual, you can find all this information on the official Alvo Discord, or you can go over to the Facebook group page, and everything is always posted there in the announcements. But I am going to pull this information off of the Discord because our good friend Steve over on OutsideIn Entertainment had posted this update not on the launch day, which was October 20th, but a few days later. This is the proper manual reload and high rise update. Now, there isn't a number attached to this. I'm sure you can find it in the headset itself, but we're just going to go by what we have here, and I'm going to go over a little bit at a time and give you kind of my thoughts and a little bit of the insider information that I do have, and kind of let you know some of the details and why maybe some decisions were made. Let's start off with the new features. So you can see here the new features are going to include the manual reload system. This is a full manual, not the partial manual that we were accustomed to. This is going to require you to take the magazine or the clip off of your vest, place it into the empty chamber slot, and then actually chamber the bullet by pulling on the slider pin, whether it's on the back or whether it's on the side. These have been pronounced to make it a little bit easier to see, and they've also given a little white outline to indicate, you know, what next step of the reload system you are in. If you run out of ammo and you can't fire your weapon, well, you're also going to see that the bullet counter is red. That means that there is a step in the manual reload system that you have not completed. This is going to replace, or has replaced, the previous manual reload system, which was the partial reload system, where all you had to do was take the clip off of your vest and place it up to the gun. Now, this is pretty much giving all those psvr and Quest users exactly what they were asking for: a manual reload system that works for the game. And I gotta say, it's one of the best reload systems I have felt in VR. Is it nearly as precise as some of those more military sim type games like Onward or Pavlov? No, but those are clanky and clunky and just janky as hell, because if you miss the spot, if you're not as precise, then you're not going to get the reload you need. In Alvo, you cannot waste a second, so they have manufactured this manual reloading system to meet the speed and the play style of the game. It blends perfectly, and if you haven't tried it yet, you got to get in and try it. It is available both for the Quest 2 and for the PlayStation VR, and even furthermore, it's available on the Pico Neo. The next feature worth talking about is High Rise. The High Rise is the new map. This has been worked on for quite some time, and in conjunction with a couple other maps, but a few fine tuning measures needed to be taken, but it is a great addition to an already amazing lineup, and there are more maps to come, so be on the lookout for those. But if you haven't tried High Rise, it's great for TDM, FFA, and it's great for Search and Destroy, and it's even better for the next item on our list, Hardpoint. Hardpoint is a new game mode that has been introduced to Alvo. It is a team-based game mode that requires you to go from each active point, secure it for a given amount of time before the time runs out, and gain as many points as you can, up to a maximum of 200 before the opposing team. Now, on each map it's going to rotate. It's given a specific amount of time before it disappears and goes inactive, and then goes to another location. You're up against another team of 5 actively trying to get as many points as possible. Matches have gone to the full 200 points and that team has won, but matches have also gone and exhausted the time limit on the clock, and no one has reached that 200 mark. So it can go either way. It all depends on the skill level, but it's one of those game modes that really requires strategy, but maintains that respawn that everybody likes in team-based matches like Team Deathmatch. But don't let that fool you. Just because there are respawns doesn't make this any easier. You have to get on those points, and if you don't have a strategy like what you would usually come up with in Search and Destroy, you're bound to lose. So work together, get on those points, collect those points, and win the match. Try Hardpoint out, especially with that new manual reload system. The last feature I want to talk about is specifically related to the Halloween theme. Now, as soon as you enter, you're going to see an entire new lobby. It's the sanatorium lobby. And you're going to see the sanatorium in the background, but you're going to see many other things. So be sure when you enter the game, you take a look around the lobby and see what goodies they have in store. So it's a really cool lobby. It's got really cool music. I think they did a really good job with this theme. But the last thing that they have added to this theme is not just what's going on in the lobby, but it's the bar that you can find at the top of the central panel that shows 0 out of 100 and a little character icon with a pumpkin head at the end. That's right. You have an opportunity to earn a brand new time-limited skin, mind you, time-limited skin. And the way you accomplish that is simply by killing people, as is expected in the game of Alvo, and picking up the candy they drop. It's a brand new take on trick-or-treating, guys, and it's absolutely fun. It is one of the greatest updates that I have experienced in Alvo yet, not just because of all the stuff that came to us, but the detail and the intention put behind this theme update is just miraculous. You got the different and variety of different candies that opponents drop, but if you get a headshot, listen for the bell, because it is no longer the squish that you're so accustomed to hearing. It is a bell from hell. So get as many headshots as you can, pick up all those candies, and then use 600 Alvo coins to unlock the brand new skin. If you haven't gotten in there, now's the time. Run any game mode, doesn't matter. Just get in there and do some trick-or-treating. Now, Steve has, in his post, he has outlined a few things. And I'm going to read this verbatim because I think it's important. If you want to read it yourself and pull what you can from it, that's fine. But I'm going to read it for verbatim, and I'm going to try to add anything if there's anything I feel there's worth adding. Pertaining to the manual reload system, he has stated this has been the #1 requested feature since the release on the Quest 2. And the players were absolutely right. It was needed, and our new system is now live. It is pretty crazy how much Steve was not really about the manual reload system because of his past experience with other titles, but the way this system has been implemented, like I said before, fits the style of Alvo. It works great, and it gives you the sensation that you're looking for, that immersive feel of manually reloading a weapon, and each manual reload is uniquely different from the last. So it's really awesome that they are able to blend the style of the game into the manual reloading system, so much so that it has converted our dear friend Steve. The system has nearly everything psvr and Quest FPS vets will expect, but with no jank. Quick, clean, immersive, and effective. Given the speed of Alvo, we have been concerned about the manual reload, and we're concerned that it would not be competitive with those using the automatic reload system with the pre-rendered animations. But they're happy to say that is not the case. They'll be working on balancing the two reload methods, because honestly, the automatic reload system does feel a little bit sluggish in comparison. So they're going to be balancing this, and they're going to depend on you guys to provide the feedback necessary to get it right. They've done their best to implement the manual reload with the PS Move controllers, but because of the lack of analog sticks, it's really kind of forced some compromises, and they're not necessarily happy about it, but it's the best way that they could implement it into this game with everything else that it entails, from the movement and the different things and actions you can do in the game. But rest assured, it will work great on PSVR 2 when it releases, and that is because those new controllers are going to simulate exactly what you experience over on the Quest and PC VR platforms. There's still one more core mechanic that they feel needs to be addressed, and it's the next thing on the list. Players need to be able to take their primary hand off of the weapon to use grenades, melee, and throwing weapons. Yes, there will be throwing weapons for sure. That is definitely on the docket of things that they want to add, like throwing knives or just taking something and throwing it away. But if you're a player and you've been a long-time player of Alvo, you know the primary hand that holds the grip near the trigger is always been glued to the gun, and that's for a reason. This game was designed for psvr and the aim controller initially, but it has gone far beyond what the PlayStation VR 1 is capable of. So they are expanding what they originally thought this game was going to be to meet the new expectations they have set for themselves, and so far they've done a fantastic job. Currently, grenades feel great, and that's in Steve's opinion. If you disagree, that is okay, but at the moment they feel fine. And with dual wield weapons where you can grab and throw them with your right hand, not so much with your secondary hand. Truth. This will change and players will throw exploding tomahawks with deadly precision. Exploding tomahawks. So that's it on the manual reload overhaul. That's kind of what he wanted to share with people. Not much else I could add there other than the opinion that I know he has garnered from utilizing this new system. His feelings about manual reload has changed, and his thought about what you can do in the future of Alvo has also changed to some degree. So great work, team. Keep it up. Can't wait to see what's next. Next that I want to talk about is a Hardpoint game mode. Now, I already kind of gave you an idea of what it's all about, but this is what Steve has to say. Hardpoint has been on our must-have list since our initial release. So this is dating back to 2021. So back when it released last year now. Yeah, this game's already a year old. It's crazy, but it's newer to the Quest 2 users. So it's not nearly as old, but still it's been a highly desired game mode across all platforms. The beta testing leads us to believe it will be our most popular game mode, which arguably I think it is in comparison to the others, although FFA I still think is holding the crown for that one. But it is one of the most it's anticipated to be one of the most popular, and they think players are going to love it. They're considering adding elements of it to free-for-all, and will be looking for feedback from players on the subject. Now, what that means, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not privy to that kind of information. Some of those ideas, like patents, are created, thrown out there, but they don't always achieve an end result. So we will take that with a grain of salt and wait to see what happens. But if you haven't tried Hardpoint, get in there, test it out. It's lots of fun. The next thing he wrote about is high rise, and he wrote very little on it. It's big, vertical, don't look down. I think the design of the map is very well done, and it very much resembles that of Vertigo for CSGO. You can look up on Google search Vertigo CSGO and check out the images there, and you'll see that it closely resembles, or I should say high rise closely resembles that of Vertigo. It's a similar concept, but it's done the Alvo way, of course. And of course, the verticality that is brought into the game has gone beyond what you have experienced so far. The highest point that you have ever reached in Alvo is pretty much in a tower on house. There isn't much higher that you've gotten. Even if you go to a monastery and look down, it still looks like you got mountains below you. But when you go to the edge on high rise and peer over the ledge, make sure you don't get vertigo. We got a few more items on the list here. The Halloween content, I already talked to you guys about that. You know what to expect, so you gotta hop in there. You gotta get that time limited character, and there's only one way to do that. Shoot some people and go trick-or-treating. That's it. So hop on in and get that content. Steve says we hope it's not too scary for everyone. It's not too scary, but it's super fun and very entertaining, and you have to check it out in-game to see what it's all about. Now, the audio, the music behind it all, I absolutely love it. It was very well done, and you'll notice that the audio, the music changes for every single match. So it's like it's going to be the same, but it's different from what you're used to. So the end-game match sounds different, the countdown sounds a little different, the in-game lobby sounds different. So be sure to check it out and see what you like, and give the feedback if you want to see more stuff or different kind of stuff in seasons to come. Now, this next list is something that most people are very interested about, and that's because it's related to the roadmap. Now, there isn't really a defined roadmap for Alvo. It was once a defined roadmap, but at this point, things are always fluctuating. Because of the new systems that have been implemented, it's kind of deviated the priority list, so to say, of what people want and what they're expecting. What Steve has written in here is what's next, and I believe this to be a priority list, but don't quote me on that. Obviously, his opinion is going to be different, and perhaps this isn't in any priority list order, but I suspect it kind of is if I know Steve as well as I think I do. So let's check out what he says here on what's next. Private matches are at the top of the list. This is something that a lot of people have been fiending for. They want to get in there, they want to play a competitive match, and sometimes there's really no way of going about doing that in a solo queue, or even if you're to team up with people and party, there's no guarantee you're going to find another party on the other side of the match. So private matches are kind of a necessity, especially if you want to see a competitive scene here. I think that's why they're at the top of the priority list, and we'll see how that turns out. I know kind of what's going to be going into it. I'm not going to go into details of what I do know, maybe what I'm speculating on, but just know that they're going to be good and they're going to be geared towards a more competitive scene. Is everything going to come out at the same time? Probably not. Different variations are probably going to be released along the way, but it's going to be not too much of a slow rollout, but I think it's going to be a rollout of sorts. So don't expect everything at once, but do expect private matches to be a thing. The next thing is new guns. Now this is of course a very critical feature that needs to be in the game. We have had the same set of guns aside from the dual wielding. The dual wielding came with the quest, but all the other weapons have been the same weapons since launch day. People have been looking for new weapons to play with. The Viper seems to be the meta at this point. People enjoy the Proto. I personally enjoy the Hurricane. It's one of my favorite weapons, but if I'm feeling salty and sweaty, I am going to go with the Viper or the Proto, or maybe the trusty AK. Either way, new guns are needed, and people want to have fun with new weapons, a new sniper, a new shotgun, maybe a new assault rifle, maybe a new submachine gun, or even a new pistol, maybe even dual pistols. That would be fun too. But new stuff has to come, and it seems that it's very, very high on the priority list, probably already being worked on alongside the private matches. I don't really know. I'm kind of speculating at this point because, again, some of that stuff I'm not privy to. But I would suspect, with it being in such high demand, it's already being worked on. So keep your ears on the ground and keep your eyes on the Discord, and we'll see if that comes to fruition anytime soon. Canted sights. Well, if you're part of Discord, you know where this one came from. Our good buddy and fellow moderator Choco, I don't really know how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to go with Choco. He has been requesting canted sights for a long time. And honestly, I don't blame him. When you're trying to turn the weapon and aim over something, it's not always as easy as you would think to aim it just right, especially if you're trying to look down the sight. Most of the time, you're dependent on that tricky laser, which always exposes you to other players. So canted sight that is right on the side of the gun, if you don't know what a canted sight is definitely a way to go in fixing this problem, so you can better kind of blind fire over the corner or over the edge of something with more precision. I'm looking forward to it, and it seems relatively high on the priority list, so I think this will be a welcomed addition. Overhaul to the scoreboard system. We're going to fly right by this one because I have no idea what this is referring to. New maps. I am privy to a lot of new maps, guys. I have tested them, and I can guarantee you're going to like them. With the additions of Dojo, Resort, or is it Retreat? I never get that right. And now High Rise. Guys, the stuff coming is going to be just as good quality. I can guarantee it. We got plenty on the back burner. They are being refined, they're being improved, and they're also, some of them are still well into early stages of construction. So new maps, if that's what you're looking for and you've been enjoying the new ones, well, feel secure in knowing that they are coming. Now, this is a little bit lower on the priority list, and by lower, I mean it's all the way at the bottom. It's a social lobby. This is something that I know Steve has wanted, and I know a few other people have wanted, and I myself have wanted it as well. a social lobby where people can actually get together, hang out. This was a concept well into development, early into development, even before the game was released. Now, I've been hanging out with OutsideIn and Mardonpol since 2019, and I can tell you right now, the concept of a social lobby has been a long thought out process. It is something that has been a desired aspect of being featured in the game by many of the team members, but it never took priority simply because there were other important things. There are other important things coming to the game. But the social lobby is still a feature that everybody wants, and I think it's going to be imperative, especially with games like Veil that have come out, where they are going to be integrating apartments where people can update them and welcome people over, and they want it to be more of a social event. We see things like this in Fortnite, where everybody kind of gets together for these large events, and they just kind of socialize. Alvo can be a fun shooter, it can be a very competitive shooter, but they also want it to be a fun place for people to hang out. They want you to spend a lot of time together in this application. So a social lobby just makes sense. Now, there is a small feature here that part of the reason why this video didn't come out sooner is because I know that this was going to be a part of the update. I just didn't know when it was going to release, and I was under the suspicion that it couldn't release with the initial patch for some reason. I didn't know what the details were or the reason behind it, but truthfully, it seems like all we need to do is flip the switch because it was ready to go. This is the ranked based matchmaking system, or abbreviated RBMM. I know a lot of people complain about this when you do quick plays or whatever in like Overwatch or in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. RBMM is a big issue when you're just doing quick plays and solo queues. It's more geared towards the ranking system and the ranking matchmaking. So I totally get why people would be like, oh, RBMM, I just don't know about this. Is it really appropriate right now in Alvo? And honestly, yes, it is. There are many new players joining, and they are constantly being put into lobbies with people level 20 and up. Hell, they'll even be put up against some of the top tier double prestige players who are over a level 100. And it never really seems fair, despite what the players at that level try to do to compensate the level difference. They are just going to well outperform any new player, and there's only so much you can do. So what the team has done is that they've implemented this RBMM system, which I think is going to be good for just about everybody. People are going to have the ability to turn it off, especially if you are below rank 20. As we can see here, it's going to be split if you're rank 20 or under rank 20. So this is from rank 1 all the way to 19. You can choose to group up with just people of rank 1 to 19. If you're over rank 20, well, you're going to be going up against everybody. So it doesn't matter if you're rank 20 or rank 120, you're all going to be tossed in the same pool. It is believed that at this point, at this rank, that you are good enough to compete against some of the best. Is this true? Only time will tell, and data will tell us that as well. But this is the right step in the right direction for a more ranked-based matchmaking mode, which I anticipate will be coming in the future with more players coming into the game. As you can read at the bottom here, it says you can opt out if you are under rank 20. So you don't, it's like crossplay, which you can turn on and off. You will be able to duck out of this option to go up against some of the harder opponents. You can just go up against those of similar ranking. So I think this is a great new addition to Alvo. I think it's going to keep players in. It's going to get them acclimated to the environment, all the new systems put in place, and I think it's going to be a more welcoming experience, keeping them for the long term, especially with the new themed updates that are going to be coming down the line and all the new additions and new content. So I'm excited for Alvo's future, and this is a step in the right direction. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. This is all that I have to share for the new Alvo update that is now released on the psvr, on the Quest, and even on the Pico Neo. So guys, if you haven't hopped in and tested out the new Halloween theme, the new Hardpoint, and the new high-rise map, What are you waiting for? Get out there, and I'll see you guys in the battlefield. Until the next one, peace.